Hello, everyone. Our regulatory update meeting this month is about the regulatory updates in Malaysia, Vietnam, Egypt, Canada, Turkey, and Mexico. In Thailand, in Malaysia, we review the following updates: Malaysia Thailand Reliance Pilot Program, Malaysia Singapore Reliance Program, and labeling guidance update. So in the first update, here we will summarize the joint statement issued on last December 2025, where the two authorities of both countries, Malaysia and Thailand, officially signed a confidentiality agreement and launched a pilot regulatory reliance initiative intended to accelerate medical device market access between both countries. So this pilot program was meant to run for 3 months, starting from February 1st, 2026 to April 30, 2026. And this initiative applies to Class B, C, and D devices. From the Malaysia side, the reliance pathway under this program is applicable to devices already registered with Thai FDA. So in this case, if the devices are already registered with Thai FDA, Malaysia may apply an abridged conformity assessment pathway known as verification route. The conformity assessment review is expected to take approximately 30 working days, which is compared to the 60 working days under the normal full conformity assessment route is a reduction in time by the half. Following the assessment, registration may be then completed within an additional 30 working days. Now, from Thailand side, it is meant for devices already registered with Malaysia MDA. So in this case, Thai FDA may allow application through a facilitated full submission pathway without external expert review. The review timeline are also shortened here from 150 calendar days to 120 calendar days, and expert review fees are waived in that case. This statement confirms that after completion of the pilot phase, both authorities will jointly evaluate the outcome of the program. And depending on the result, the regulators may consider implementing full-scale long-term regulatory reliance program between Malaysia and Thailand. Now, a similar program, but it's not anymore pilot, we will see here. In the next slides, we will summarize the launch of the medical device regulatory reliance between these both countries. This initiative was officially launched or announced on March 2026 by Medical Device Authority of Malaysia from one side, and also by the HSA of Singapore. So, but before the launch, the official launch in March of this year, the program underwent a 6-month pilot phase running from September 2025 to February 2026. And in that case, it was successful, and the Reliance program was officially launched after that. This indicates that both regulators completed preliminary operational testing before formal implementation. In this case, also it applies to medical devices of class B, C, D, like the other Reliance program. And in a similar way, from Malaysia side, it accepts eligible registration application through verification routes. And the device should be already registered in Singapore. This is mandatory. The review is expected also to take 30 working days compared to the 60 working days under the full conformity assessment route, and the device will then be registered within an additional 30 working days. Under the program, devices registered with MDA will benefit from an average review pathway achieving by the 30% shorter review time across all Class B to D medical devices, and this is from Singapore side. So that was the two reliance program. The first one between Thailand and Malaysia, that's still a pilot. They finished the pilot, but we're still waiting for the outcome of this pilot program. And the second one between Malaysia and Singapore, which has been successful after their pilot period, and now it is officially launched. The third update in Malaysia is regarding labeling guidance. Here, we'll summarize the main updates introduced in the version 7 of the guidance MDA GD 0026. That was issued last January 2026, and it is about the labeling requirements in Malaysia. So here we will focus our presentation only on the revised requirements compared to previous version. So in this current version, it introduces a completely new section defining electronic labeling. So the guidance officially recognizes electronic method for delivering labeling information, like, for example, QR codes, URL, barcodes, and UDI system. And the guidance now allows broader implementation, possible use for home use devices, depending on the risk assessment outcome. So for that, the manufacturer must conduct a detailed documented risk analysis covering many operational and cybersecurity considerations. And the authority added extensive new requirements related to the accessibility, internet availability, software failure scenario, emergency situation, version management, and user capability to access electronic information safely. In this version 7 of this guidance, it now explicitly allows additional labels for importer information, authorized representative detail, or translation. This is useful for relabeling activity after importation. However, the company must ensure that critical traceability information remain visible and readable throughout the product shelf life. So here also, the guidance clarified the contact information expectation for local and foreign entities. So for local manufacturer and AR, they must now provide at least one direct contact method, such as email, phone number, or website. Now for foreign manufacturer, the website address is specifically required. Now, moving to Vietnam, our second country today. In Vietnam, we will review some updates regarding advertising requirements. So the Decree 342/2025 NDCP was issued last December 2025 and become effective on February of this year. And one of the most important changes is that medical devices are officially listed among products requiring special advertising control. This means that manufacturer and distributor cannot rely on only general marketing practices. Advertising materials must comply with specific requirements established under this decree. So the decree clearly defined the minimum information that must appear in a medical device advertisement. The intended purpose is particularly important because promotional claims must remain consistent with the approved intended use of the device. And manufacturer should assess whether products have specific warning or storage requirements. If such information exists, it must be reflected in the advertising material. Now, beyond printed material, the decree extends also beyond that. Company must ensure that mandatory information remain visible and understandable in also audiovisual advertisement. Short video advertisement should still provide clear access to required information. And here, this is one of the most important compliance points for marketing team. Companies should avoid promotional material that use healthcare professional or healthcare institution to endorse the product. So from now, all the existing advertising campaign should be reviewed to identify any potential non-compliance contents. This decree introduced transparency and so if medical device appear as promotional content within films, viewers must receive prior notification together with any applicable warning required under the decree. So although all these obligations primarily target advertising service provider, manufacturer should be aware of them because online advertising campaign may be affected by this regulatory action. So proper documentation and record retention will help to support compliance review and regulatory inspection. Our third country today is Egypt. And here we will review two important updates. The first one regarding the clarification on country of origin determination, and the second one about the registration simplification. So here in this announcement issued on the 3rd of March of this year by the EDA, it addresses a situation where the country of origin stated in the free sale certificate differ from the country indicated on invoices or on product labels. So this announcement establishes the approach that EDA will apply when reviewing such cases and specify the supporting document that company must provide in this case. So the key message of the announcement is that EDA will apply principle established under European regulation 952/2013, also known as the Union Customs Code. Under this approach, the country of origin is considered to be the country where the last substantial transformation of the product took place. So as a result, the country indicated on the commercial invoice may be accepted as the country of origin if it corresponds to the location where the final substantial transformation occurred. So for the required document to support the declared country of origin, the EDA requires specific documentation. First, the legal manufacturer must provide a formal declaration identifying the country where the last substantial transformation took place. The declaration must explicitly confirm that this country is the same country shown on the external label and commercial invoice. And second, for products covered by CE certification, company must provide the latest audit report issued by the notified body. This report should identify the country where the latest substantial transformation occurred. Now, we move to the second update in Egypt about the registration simplification. Here we will present a new initiative from the Egyptian authority that aims to facilitate certain medical device registration procedure. For manufacturer relationship letters between the company affiliates, the authority now accepts the document through the official corporate email. So of the issuing company. So the email must clearly state that the document represented the original version. Registration procedure in this case may continue without waiting for a legalized version, provided the applicant commit to submitting the legalized documents within a specified period. And the authority has also simplified the free cell certificate, the requirement for free cell certificate. Company may now submit a valid certificate without the previous requirement that the certification remain valid for at least 3 months before the dossier acceptance. In addition, when certificate authenticity cannot be verified electronically, or when the issuing authority does not respond, EDA may accept Chamber of Commerce legalization without requiring legalization by the Egyptian embassy, provided that the company belongs to the approved whitelist program. Now, this is an important point. EDA has modified the process for registration sample. Instead of requiring routine submission and retention of sample, the authority will request sample only when deemed necessary by the scientific committee. So once the review is completed, the sample will be returned to the company rather than being retained by the authority as before. And also, for high-value products, an additional flexibility has been introduced. If the scientific committee considers acceptable, the company may provide an electronic version of the sample rather than a physical sample. So this change significantly reduced the cost associated with the registration of a high value or expensive medical devices in Egypt. So another simplification concerned the certificate of analysis. And this one, we personally experienced this several times. Previously, companies were often required to provide an additional manufacturer statement confirming that the analytical method used were consistent with manufacturing specification. But this, most of the cases, the manufacturer, like they are surprised, say that we already provided this in the technical file. So that's why under this approach, EDA will accept the certificate of analysis included within the technical documentation and will not anymore request another separate manufacturer declaration about that. The ADA also introduced greater flexibility regarding product shelf life. Imported medical devices may now be registered with a shelf life exceeding 5 years, up to maximum of 10 years. This applies to both the new registration and the renewal application. But this flexibility is subject to specific conditions. So company must demonstrate that the storage facility comply with the good storage practices requirement and are capable of maintaining those products under the storage condition for all the shelf life in the required conditions. And the authority also indicated that the compliance with the storage requirements will continue to be monitored through inspection. And finally, that has been also introduced in this communication is regarding products subject to testing before registration. So for surgical suture manufactured in non-reference country, the testing may be performed using any size. But for example, for ophthalmic suture, it continues to require testing of each size regardless of whether they were originally from a reference country or non-reference country. And for medical devices presented in nasal or oral dosage form, company may now choose whether testing will be conducted before registration or after registration, using like after registration by using the imported shipment. Now, to benefit from this flexibility, the applicant must submit a formal commitment indicating the chosen testing approach and establish a clear procedure for handling any non-compliant result in coordination with the relevant inspection authority. Moving to Canada, the fourth country today. Here we will review 3 different updates. First one, class 3 and class 4 ultrasound systems and transducer. Second one about private label medical devices. And last one about guidance on significant changes to medical devices. So here, in this Health Canada notice that was issued on January, we said it is related to ultrasound system and transducer. What happened with those devices? So Health Canada, in this case, it's emphasized about the measurement accuracy. So manufacturer must provide accuracy information for measurement generated by the ultrasound system, including the distance, the volume, the heart rate, the Doppler frequency shift, the velocity measurement, and other calculated indices. So the submission should also explain the testing methodology used to establish these accuracy claims and justify this why this approach is appropriate or accurate. The Health Canada expects manufacturers to provide comprehensive instruction regarding device care between uses. This includes cleaning procedures, storage requirements, disinfection methods, sterilization instruction when it is applicable. And the notice also highlights the use of sterile transducer sheets and recommend that, when appropriate, the manufacturer refer user to transducer sheets that are licensed by Health Canada. A major focus of the notice is acoustic output safety. Health Canada references IEC 6061 to 37 and specifically highlight the importance of thermal index and mechanical index. So these parameters are used to assess the potential biological effects associated with the ultrasound exposure, and manufacturers must demonstrate that their device operates within an acceptable acoustic output limit, and that these limits are appropriately controlled throughout the intended use of the system. So the accuracy and the acoustic. For private label devices, this is a new guidance on how to complete the application for, in these cases, for private label medical devices. This guidance became effective on the 1st of April of this year, and it applies to devices from class 2, 3, and 4 marketed as private labels in Canada. Health Canada defined a private label as a device that is identical in every respect to a medical device already licensed by Health Canada. So the only differences allowed are the private label manufacturer's name, address, product name, and identifier displayed on the label. This means that there can be no differences in design, intended use, manufacturing process, or performance characteristic or safety. So even if this private label manufacturer may not directly manufacture the device, the Health Canada still consider them responsible for regulatory compliance because the product is marketed under their own name and trademark. And one of the most important points introduced in this guidance is regarding the timing of submission. So a private label manufacturer cannot submit an application until Health Canada has already issued a medical device license to the original manufacturer. And similarly, if the private label manufacturer wants to add any new identifier, such as catalog number or any existing license, those identifier must first application must now be submitted through Health Canada regulatory enrollment process, or commonly known as REP. So the REP system replaces, as you know, the traditional PDF-based submission, and now it uses an XML template to collect company information, dossier information, transaction, and application data, etc. So Health Canada identifies several mandatory documents that must accompany license manufacturer and the certificate, the device details, intended use information, and supporting declaration of compliance of the private label manufacturer, while the later manufacturer.
Iman, you are mute. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't see any problem with the...
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So as I said, the manufacturer of private label retain regulatory responsibility like the manufacturer of the original label. And everything should be maintained, documented for compliance, handling, vigilance, reporting. Like even also the manufacturer of private label should have this vigilance report, recalls, and regulatory communication between with the original manufacturer. And the last update in Canada. So this guidance is meant to determine whether, clarify what is the significant changes for medical devices, class 3 and class 4 in Canada, and what are the requirements. So as you may know, Health Canada defines a significant change as any modification that could reasonably affect the safety, effectiveness, quality, or risk profile. And the assessment is based on potential impact, not only on observed outcome after implementation. So when a proposed change is considered significant, manufacturer must submit medical device license amendment and receive Health Canada approval before marketing or selling that product. And manufacturer changes must be assessed for their impacts on specification, material, and performance, and increased tolerances that allow greater variation are often considered significant changes because they may affect device performance. And here, about software and material changes. So this, in this case, the guidance dedicates an extensive section to the software and medical and material changes, because this modification frequently affect device performance, safety, biocompatibility, cybersecurity, and overall risk profiles. So the Health Canada recommend a structured approach. Manufacturers should identify the type of change, evaluate applicable guidance section, perform the risk assessment, and review the testing requirement, and determine whether an amendment application is necessary before implementation. So all these steps should be followed before we judge if this is a significant or no, if need an amendment application license or not. In Turkey, we review updates about the registration process in the UTS and mandatory use of UDAMED and impact on UTS. So in this guidance, the authority explained how company medical devices and supporting regulatory document must be registered and maintained within the Turkey Products Tracking System known as UTS. The guidance align, as you know, with in Turkey with MDR, IBDR, and also with the Turkish medical device regulation. So before device registration can occur, company must be properly registered in the system. The guidance provides procedure for firms involved in manufacturing, importing, distributing, or selling medical devices. And several documents type must be uploaded and maintained in UTAs before device registration can be completed. The guidance explains the submission and the update procedure for each document type. And the guidance contains separate registration workflow depending on the regulatory framework applicable to the device, including legacy directive and the newer MDR and AVDR regulation. The documents include the dedicated should manage transition period and submit application related to MDR and IVDR extension recognized by Turkey or Turkey. And this guidance provides the classification principle also and the rules. And finally, for manufacturer and importers, managing platform provide bulk upload and maintenance function that can significantly reduce the administrative workload. For the mandatory use of UDAMED and impacts on UTAs, basically this announcement, it explain, like, as you know, the first four model of UDAMED became already mandatory after 6 months of transition period that ended on May 28th of this year. And the announcement establishes separate timeline for newly marketed devices and legacy devices already available on the market, as you can see in the slide. Now, the most important message here is that UDAMED does not replace UTS. Existing Turkish document and device registration requirement continue exactly as before. So now going to, for the last 5 minutes, we have time, our last country, Mexico. This is an important update regarding the new labeling requirements. So the new Mexican standard modernizes medical device labeling requirement and strengthens traceability, risk communication, and user safety in this norm 137 SSA1 2008. That's this is the this one replaces this norm. And several new elements become mandatory now, as I said, to improve the traceability. So label must now include, it is detailed and listed, it must include intended use, okay, manufacturing date, catalog model number, single-use indication where it is applicable, and information regarding adverse incident reporting. And also it must include generic device name, brand trade name, and coffee registration number, and the expiry date when applicable, and the lot number or serial number. And about the language, the information must be provided in Spanish, but additional languages are permitted. Spanish text must remain clearly readable, and contra-label permitted when needed. So imported devices may use this supplementary label provided mandatory Mexican requirements are fulfilled. And the regulation also allows broader use of internationally recognized symbol and electronic information tools. And the instruction for use must support safe and correct operation and clearly communicate risk and limitation. The final regulation places this disclosure within the IFU rather than directly on the label. Carcinogenic material, mutagenic material, reprotoxic materials, sensitizing or allergenic materials. And the regulation strengthens sterility-related labeling and requires clear communication of expected device lifetime where applicable. The scope of responsibility for registration holder has been expanded and now includes greater participation in labeling and IFU management. So manufacturer and registration holder are both responsible for that. And finally, the manufacturer should begin gap assessment immediately to identify necessary updates to labels, IFU, and packaging. As you can see in the slide, the transition period and compliance date, it will be the mandatory compliance by May 14, 2027, approximately 1 year, 360 days since the days of the publication. And thank you. Yes, if you have any question related to these updates we have presented. Yes, Gabi. I think we can have one question.
Yeah. Hi, Man. Thank you for the presentation. I have a
You're welcome.
I have a question about the reliance programs. Are they available to manufacture to products, to foreign products, or only to locally manufactured products?
I think the reliance pathway, it looks like it is available for both locally manufactured and foreign manufactured products. As I said, the requirement is to have that product registered in their corresponding country. I mean, if you want to apply for a reliance program in Malaysia, it should be already registered in Thailand and vice versa. So yes, they didn't specify. So we understand that this is the requirement is to be registered in the other country, but not like locally manufactured or not.
Okay. And about the dates of that previous registration, if the product is registered in the other country, but before the enforcement of the or even the pilot program, are the products still eligible for the registration in the second country under the reliance, or only both registrations must be done after the existence of the reliance agreement?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see any specification in this communication, both from the one country or the other. I understand that there is no problem with that, if it is before or the launch of this program or not, because if it was, it would be specified. But I think in this case, since it is very sensitive information, need a confirmation from the authority. But I think like the most probable scenario is that there is no problem with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your attendance, and I hope to see you, all of you, in the next RegTalk for July, already in July. And sorry for the inconvenience and the connection again. Thank you.